Randy, we've seen quite a bit of change come from your defense over the last few weeks. I guess how did that process kind of get started? Was that something you guys had thought about before the season, or was that just sort of like a big on-the-fly adjustment?
I think as time's progressed and we've gotten a better feel for what our players do well, you try to put them in places where they do well, and sometimes that isn't a conventional place, and some of that is why you've probably seen what you're referring to as a little bit of change.
Pat kind of joked yesterday about how he can't tell the difference between their wide receivers and tight ends. I mean, how do you counteract their big playmakers?
Well, we're going to go out and get the basketball team to play the secondary for us this week. They're both wide receivers are 6'4", 6'5". The tight end, you on tape, you're not sure which guy is the tight end because they're all pretty much the same size and very much the same athletically. So, how do you counteract it? You just got to be more physical, more aggressive, and when you're covering a guy that's bigger than you got to be a little more physical.
I'd also said that he was kind of riding the hot hand in the secondary. Can you speak to that depth and what that presents when you're rotating different guys and the ability to play the hot hand there? Well,
Jason Pinnock had a great game. He had 85 or 90 snaps and just played outstanding. Other than maybe one or two plays, just literally shut down a really good wide receiver in our opinion. So obviously when you play that well, you're going to play a lot, and Dane Jackson at this point has played very well. So there's a good fight every week. We open up the depth chart every week, and whoever plays the best during that week plays. And then obviously it comes into play what they've done on weeks past and how many plays they've made, and ultimately guys have to make plays out on the field, and if they're not, we're going to put somebody in who does, and until we find the right guy that does. And Theron Coleman was one that made a great play at the end of the game, so we were really proud of it.
Randy, what have you liked the most out of Amir Watts? I mean, I know he was noticeable because he had the pick on Saturday, but some of those websites that grade guys out, he's performing pretty well in that sense too.
Well, he's playing really, really hard. More than anything, he's just leaving it out on the field, and I think that was the thing that really stands out probably to everybody that's seeing him. And also he caught the ball as a D tackle. That's pretty remarkable. We have linebackers who can't catch it, so for him to catch that pass was outstanding.
Does he kind of have a different personality than the other guys on that D line? I mean, that seems like maybe your most stoic group on the defense, except for Amir.
Well, he's certainly outgoing. Let's put it that way. He has a great personality, and I would say yes, he has probably the highest level of personality in that group.
Randy, what have you learned about your guys halfway through?
The guys are really, really paying attention to detail, working hard on getting better. We went back to basics and tackling and block protecting and just playing football. You see so many unique offenses between wishbone and a snap every 7 seconds and a throw every 7 seconds. And so, it comes down to really more than anything, blocking, getting off blocks, making tackles, getting turnovers. Ultimately, that's how you win games, and so that's what we've gone back to do, and that's what I think the kids have worked really hard on.
You've done a little bit of standing up your ends this year. I mean, what did you see that kind of made you want to try that, and how do you feel like it's worked?
Well, the reason you stand them up is when teams are in empty and there is no chance for run a lot of times, it gives them an opportunity to get in the way of the quarterback throwing the ball, especially when you have decent height out there at both ends. So that's really the number one reason they were standing up. Just most of those were because it was an empty formation where it's not a run, it's who he's going to throw it to.
Having a guy like Rashad who's 6'4", something like that. Does that make that easier? Or
absolutely, he can stand up and be in the way of many throws, and teams that throw the ball short and to the outside, he can get in their way and create some havoc.
Speaking of the depth you have, what's to say about the depth you have when the guy who makes a decisive play in the victory isn't even listed on the depth chart the next day? So you have a bunch of guys ahead of him.
Sure. Well, like I said, we open it up every week, so the day after would have been not the next day of practice. So it'll be opened up, and he'll have a better shot to probably move up into that this week. But
depth chart on Monday isn't necessarily the depth chart on Saturday.
Oh, absolutely not. For the most part, that would just be the depth chart from the day before, probably. Because we really haven't practiced, and until they go out and show what they do on Tuesday, Monday's not a work day for us.
Plus, I have to assume the depth chart that's on your projector in your meeting room is probably different than the ones we see on paper.
Sometimes it, and like I said, the depth chart on Saturday isn't necessarily the depth chart for Tuesday the next week, Wednesday, Thursday, and we change it daily. We talk about every player every day, and we move those magnets, as we call them, up and down based on how they're performing that week.
Randy, you mentioned the receivers. What about Ian Book and what he's been able to do? Just describe the challenge facing.
Boy, he's really impressive on tape. I believe he's 9 touchdowns and 1 interception. He makes outstanding decisions, and he's a really good athlete. He can get away. He's got escapability, and sometimes when those guys escape, they make bad decisions, and he does not. He really does a great job of picking and choosing when to throw it out of bounds, and when to run it.
What do you tell your guys about this opportunity on Saturday?
Well, we talk about it as another game. We play at the same level they do. They certainly are undefeated at this point, and it's very impressive. They have an outstanding football team, but we believe so do we. So we're just going to go out there and play football the way we play it, and play the best kind of football we can, which is tackle and intercept and take blocks on and get off blocks, and just basic football is how you win football games like this.
How far along has DeMar Hamlin come since you've been here to having 14 tackles the other day?
I tell you, DeMar is one of the most locked-in athletes that I've seen. He's here early, he's here late, watching tape, doing the little things that make you a better player, not just a good player. And he has really embraced that, and he's starting to pull more of the younger guys into that mode and teaching them how to do it. And that's really what an experienced guy like that you would expect.
Are you happy with the different personnel groupings that you've had, the last few weeks, getting them on and off the field, switching from base to nickel, that sort of thing? How long has it taken that to develop to where you're getting in and out the guys you want?
Well, the hardest thing is our offense not being those spread offenses, fast tempo type teams. Sometimes those guys have to go out and play before you see actually how they can do in that. And so we've had 2 or 3 different packages where players have come in, and some have responded really well and some haven't, and that's obviously reflected in the depth charts as we talk about it. But I've been pleased that we've been able to play a lot of players, see where they're at, and I believe as guys play more, they get better. And so it's nice to have a lot of guys play, and it also is good for practice.
You're a Midwest guy. You spent some time in the areas. It's a game that's fun for you to coach in that environment. And
you mean at Notre Dame?
Yeah, at Notre Dame.
Oh, absolutely. It's a great atmosphere. There's a lot of history there, and last time I was there, I had a lot of fun. So I always enjoy going down there. It's a great place to play.
Did you win the last time you were there?
In overtime.
Oh. When was that?
I don't remember. It would have been about 13, 14 at Northwestern.